Today is day 9 of the Karen Read trial. I'm going to give you my daily recap. There were 5 witnesses on the stand today, and we're not done with the final witness, so I'm guessing that this is going to be 2 parts. Hannah Knowles is still on the stand. She's the forensic scientist for the Mass State Crime Lab. She did some of the reporting on Karen Read's blood sample. She had given her the range of Karen Read's BAC to be 0.14 to 0.28 at 12:45. And they can figure this out by doing the blood draw and then like a calculation to get back to the point of impact or the point of incident. So that's why they give that range. So on cross-exam, Yannetti says, do you know if Karen Read had anything to drink after 12:45? Would that have changed your findings? And there's objections. So on redirect, Lally hammers in that the range is still above the 0.08 legal limit for driving in Massachusetts. She is done for the day, and then Ryan Nagel is our next witness. In the previous trial, Ryan Nagel's testimony seemed to really help the defense. So I was expecting more of the same. I was expecting once we got to this witness, I know who's coming next. Just based on kind of what they did last time and what would make sense, who would make sense to call. And we did get a couple things that were a little bit different. He lives in Canton. He's the brother to Julie Nagel, and Julie Nagel is great friends with Brian Albert Jr., and that's whose birthday they were celebrating at 34 Fairview. He said earlier in the night they were at CF McCarthy's. They were there from like 8 or 9 to midnight, and then his sister Julie was at the Albert residence, and she texted that she needed a ride. I'm sure at some point it will come out again, the screenshot of that text message, because if you remember, Jen McCabe had asked Julie Nagel to send Jen a copy of that screenshot because she wanted to know exactly what time that text message was sent and what time he arrived. So he was with his ex-girlfriend, his girlfriend at the time. Her name is Heather Maxon, and Ricky D'Antano, I think is his last name, was driving the car. So he got a text from his sister around midnight, says their plans changed and they went to go pick her up. They were on Cedar Crest driving to the Albert residence when a car came in the opposite direction and was also going to be turning on Fairview. They came to a stop at the stop sign, and it was a black SUV. So they had to do a right onto Fairview, and then Ricky turned left onto Fairview. He says that he saw this black SUV approaching 34 Fairview. He wasn't studying the vehicle, but he noticed that it had all of its brake lights. They were red, not white. And it pulled up a little bit past the driveway, kind of right in front of the house. The one question that was never asked to this witness is about the Jeep, because supposedly we have Brian Higgins' Jeep on the street at this same exact time too. So he says that his sister came outside to talk to him. They talked for maybe less than 5 minutes. And she said she wasn't ready to leave yet, asked if they wanted to come inside and have a drink, and they said no. And then they decided they wanted to leave. So their car was parked in front of the driveway the whole time, he says, for about 5 minutes. At this point, they're pulling away. They're leaving the house, and they see the black SUV. Ryan Nagel says that it was about a car length from the flagpole. And he saw that there was a woman inside the SUV sitting with her hands at 10 and 2. The dome light of the vehicle was on. He did not see anyone else in the car. He didn't see anyone go inside or get out of the SUV besides his sister. He didn't see anyone enter the house, cross the front lawn, and then Yannetti comes on for the cross. You can probably hardly see, but on the cross, they enter this silly little map into evidence. And like the judge was like, you're going to need to zoom that in. Like, we're going to need a copy of this. Like, what is this? Okay, so I didn't put in my notes what time he said that he got to the house. I think the issue was to last trial, he gave a lot of specific times. And this time he was like, about midnight, about 12:30, about... So he didn't really give any definitive times, and I can't remember what the screenshot was on that text. So if you see that, put that in the comments so I can just have that up here. But the redirect by Brennan is just more of the same. And then they call Heather Maxon next. This is Heather. she's moved on with her life. She's not dating Ryan Nagel anymore, but here she is in 2025 being called to the stand in this trial. She says she saw a female driving and a male in the passenger seat. She didn't notice anything special about the vehicle. Never saw anyone else outside Julie, outside of the vehicles. And she says that she was pretty impaired. So I'm not sure why they called her, maybe just to say that she saw Karen Read at the house. Then the Commonwealth calls Katie McLaughlin, and there's a delay, and then the judge says, let's just go to our morning recess. Oh, my light's falling. When we come back from our morning recess, they actually call Sarah Levinson. This is Sarah Levinson. I've read some really interesting things in the conspiracy world about what Sarah Levinson has seen at the party that night. I can go into a separate video about that. But she's 26. She's a nurse. She's been a nurse for the past 4 years. She's friends with Julie Nagel, Brian Albert Jr. She met Brian in high school. She did know Caitlin, but she didn't really know any of the Albert younger siblings. She got to Brian's between 7 and 8 p.m. that night to celebrate for his birthday. They go over the layout of the house a little bit, and one thing I didn't know, and I've been hearing lately some theories that maybe John O'Keefe actually fell and hit his head in the garage or something instead of the basement. But there is no door from the kitchen, inside the kitchen, that goes to the garage. You actually have to go outside and go to the garage. So that could alone potentially even squash that theory about the garage. Colin Albert actually arrived for 30 to 45 minutes while there was a group of girls there. There were 4 other female names that she gave that are not relevant, but they were also there. And then she said around midnight, more people came, including Brian's father, who is Brian Albert Sr., Brian Higgins, Nicole Albert, Jen, and Matt McCabe. And this is interesting because at other times that people have testified that Colin Albert was actually outside and leaving when this group was arriving. They were actually never inside the home at the same time, and she's saying that he was there while they were there. If you're sitting in the kitchen, you can see the basement door and the door to the backyard, according to her. She said the plan was to ride home with Julie because Ryan was going to pick up, and then Jen McCabe offered a ride. So they decided to stay. She says she wasn't really drinking anymore, but she didn't mind. She decided to stay. The night continued. The mood was the same. She never saw a man or a woman come into the house that she didn't know, assuming that Brennan is meaning John O'Keefe and Karen Read. And when they left, she thinks it was around 1:30 to 2 a.m. She was home by 2 a.m. and she rode with Jen and Matt McCabe. She sat in the back seat behind the passenger. She says that Matt forgot his jacket when they got to the car, so he went back inside to get it. And she said when she looked out the window leaving the house, they were kind of like all talking in the car. She didn't see anything in the lawn. This is really important cross-exam, I think. So Jackson he's doing the cross. He establishes that, like, you know all this family, you know all the cousins, you know all these people, but you had never met the Albert family dog. And she goes, I'm not completely sure. And then I guess a year ago, she had testified that she had never met the dog, which I really didn't even remember. Do you know the dog's name? She says, yes, it's Chloe. Says the front yard was lit up because of the interior and exterior lights of the home, but she couldn't see anything in the front yard. And she actually wasn't interviewed until October of 2022. Her name hadn't come out as like being at the house because they assumed like, oh, she was there so early and this person was found so late in the lawn. But Michael Proctor didn't interview her until October, which is crazy. She was interviewed alone, according to him, and she did talk to Julie Nagel ahead of her interview. Brennan does the cross-exam, and he says that were there any lights illuminating the front lawn or the flagpole? And she says there was not. That's it. They go to lunch, and the next witness is going to be Katie McLaughlin, and we'll go to part 2 for that.